Dear Lehigh students, welcome to another round of industry insights. I'm with Al today from KPMG. He's going to be giving us an amazing insight into KPMG and their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts at the company. So, Al, welcome to Industry Insights, and thank you for your attention and just coming to the interview.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a privilege and an honor.
Of course, yes. So, without further ado, if you mind just giving us a brief background on yourself and then introduction to KPMG for any students that don't know.
Sure thing. My name is Al Fuchs. I've been a member of KPMG's organization for the past 20 years. I am an associate director in our operations group, which I handle Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Philadelphia, and our Short Hills offices. Um, I actually helped start our Pride organization here in the Philadelphia office. So I've been involved for a good many years. And It's been a really great to see our Pride group grow throughout the years and be a part of it all.
Mhm. That's great. And what was it like to, start this organization within KPMG, this Pride organization? What was that process like?
Well, for years we were attached to some other groups, the Washington
Mhm.
D.C. group, but to create our own Philadelphia group was really exciting because there was a need, and it was
Sure.
really awesome to be able to fulfill that need, um, to create this opportunity. I will
Mhm.
say prior to that, for a long time, I felt like I was a one man pride parade in the office because I was an out individual with a
Mhm.
partner, and
Yeah.
and it was kind of quiet
Mhm.
amongst you know the the other LGBTQ or even allies.
Mhm.
Um, and it was actually a little bit of pressure to be feeling like to be the resource. And then once
Mhm.
we started the Pride organization, it gave people an opportunity to gather, to come together, to share their stories. And
Mhm.
I think ultimately that's the most important part of being able to bring your full self to work, is to have a platform or a place to share your story, because we're all so individual and so different, and to have that
Mhm.
opportunity and that place to let your story out and to be shared, it really gives you a seat at the table. Our Pride organization in Philadelphia is we have like over 250,
Wow.
well over 250 allies and members of our Pride group just here in Philadelphia.
That's
Um,
amazing.
we have 24 chapters of Pride across the firm, and
Wow.
we have about 3,800 members,
Wow.
which I will say 75% of them are allies,
Sure.
but and which is an amazing thing that
Yeah.
people just want to learn and be a part of the organization.
That is amazing. So going from, like you
You
said,
know,
the one person to now over 250 at the Philly office. I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
granted,
that's
that's
incredible.
over a 20-year period, but still,
Sure, but
I think it's great.
yeah.
It's amazing.
No, I think that's an incredible journey, and it takes not just one person, but it takes a group of people really to create that shift in an organization. So, to kind of pivot onto our next question. So KPMG is recognized by Diversity Inc. And for students that don't know, Diversity Inc. is a national organization that essentially assists um, other nationally recognized companies and helps them with the listing and assessment process to determine their diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. So they publish a top 50 list, but KPMG is listed on that top 50 and as well as the sort of the subset list. And so part of that is in recognition for the LGBTQ plus community and the practices that they have. So, Al, if you mind just explaining from your perspective, what does it take to kind of get recognized for this effort?
Well, I'll be honest. I think it's an honor to be recognized, by
Yeah.
Diversity Inc. But
Hmm.
it's just it's the practices that KPMG already has in place that
Hmm.
put us on that list. It's not
Hmm.
anything that we're doing to be on the list. That's just a benefit.
Yeah.
KPMG recently this year rolled out or it was a couple of years ago, this new platform called Accelerate 2025,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's actually a part of our agenda to ensure that underrepresented groups
Mhm.
have their voices, and that they are sought by KPMG, and um, that they are encouraged, and have a program that helps them want to stay and
Mhm.
thrive and build themselves and their careers at KPMG. So I think that is a really impactful thing. This program Accelerate 2025, and that takes all the underrepresented groups, not just the LGBTQ plus community.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that is also one of the greatest things, is that we're transparent.
Yes.
KPMG is transparent, and they are accountable for what they want to achieve. Every year we get a report
Mhm.
that documents what we're doing, and it gives us statistics about our underrepresented groups, and
Mhm.
so they let us know where we stand and what we need to do to achieve, this diversity that we seek, so that everybody has a seat at a table.
Mhm. That's great. And just for your information, we use the Diversity Inc. rankings because we view it as like a tool
Yeah.
for graduate students, to help just navigate the career search process and really figure out where they want to land. And if this is an important factor for them, we believe that having that, again, just going back to that transparency and accountability, that's what it kind of takes, because to kind of be ranked, you have to submit a lot of what could be potentially vulnerable data, right? And so it's great that you're not only accountable on like a public level, like a public facing level, also within as well, to the employees that make up the very fabric of your organization.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's really important to us that, you
Mhm.
know that like within our Pride organization and within all of our DEI initiatives, it's
Mhm.
we're really trying to expand our internal communities, so to
Mhm.
speak. And within that expansion, we have mentoring opportunities, so
Mhm.
people have growth potential, so they see leaders, and so that they have opportunities and have people to
Mhm.
talk to, that with like-minded folk,
Mhm.
as well as, bringing more diversity, and gives more networking opportunities,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
bringing us out into the marketplace, so that we can meet
Mhm.
and see more people, which then gives us a better professional platform out in the market as well. And we also reach, and this is one of the most important things that I pride myself within KPMG, is that
Mhm.
our community involvement. Through
Mhm.
all diversity, we're able to reach so many different areas within our local communities,
Mhm.
and by
Mhm.
volunteering, by fundraising, by donating, by with all local resources, so that we have not only an impact on the business community and our people, but also
Sure.
the areas and where we live. So
Yeah, it sounds like a recognition of the responsibility that KPMG has to the greater community, kind of just like you said, giving back in whatever capacity you still can, right?
yeah,
And one question I do have about Accelerate 2025, excuse me, is does it allow employees to kind of like branch outside of like their immediate office and kind of get in contact with offices, maybe even out of state as well?
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the, so we do have conferences and things like that as well. So, and that's going back to that networking opportunity, having some of these, having these uh, BRGs, these business research groups,
Hmm.
um, let you reach beyond your own geographic location. I think during COVID and everything like that, that has
Yes.
increased greatly.
Yes. Hmm.
KPMG is not just your local office anymore. It is a national global firm. So
Wow.
there are opportunities to reach out to your and honestly, even a lot of people travel within KPMG. So if there's a pride group somewhere in an office, you have a friend. So there's
That's great.
24 different chapters, because we do have national conferences. we do have meetings, and every year we have a global Pride conference, which is virtual. We have a Pride conference sometimes down at our lake house, where people
Mhm.
get together and talk about our goals and what we want to achieve in a year. Um, and of course, we do have also PFlag trainings, and we're
Mm,
sponsored by Out Leadership.
mm.
So there's a lot of
So
opportunities for people to get together and work.
yeah, I mean, it sounds just very fleshed out, and well thought out. All these resources really
Yeah,
just coming together.
Pride has been around since 2003.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's a well-established BRG. I think the
Nice.
only one of our BRGs that are older than Pride is our No, which is our KPMG network of women.
Oh, okay. Wow. Great. And that kind of pivots us into our next question of, Al, to you, what does bringing your full self to work mean? We kind of touched on it already, but personally, what do you see with just so much experience at KPMG?
Well, I will say that, when I first started here 20 plus years ago, I was uh, I was intimidated, I will, because I had a partner for, several years, and,
Mhm,
I'll be honest, I tried to be in the closet. I did.
mhm.
But just my personality type really didn't let me do it very often. They, trying to, when you tell your story and you're trying to reverse genders in your story of what you did this weekend, I couldn't do it,
Yeah.
um, so I really never struggled with being out. I do recall times where I would pause, before saying husband, just so that
Mhm.
people could get their mind with me and understand
Sure.
that yes, I was part of the gay community.
Mhm,
Um, but then I became a resource,
mm,
and not even a resource for business reasons, for people's personal resources. Whereas,
mhm,
there are colleagues whose children were coming out, or
mm,
whose brother came out, or and what to, like, if they need to do anything or act a certain way or do this, that. And I realized the importance of being a not a colleague,
sure.
and my professional opinion was respected because of my work ethic, but now
Mhm.
my personal life was also being respected, and I became a resource for people
Wow.
based on my work ethic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is really awesome, to be able to have that opportunity. And then it really showed the value.
Mm,
And then, I don't do a lot of client work. I'm internal.
mhm,
I do all my work is generally internal. But then, to help create a space for people to be able to bring their whole selves work, whether it be at a client or what have you, just thinking about the business community, and help, you know, um, that whole resource for the LGBTQ community out in the workforce. It,
sure.
it really motivated me to help bring our Pride network to the table.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's a amazing story, and I would say one of my first questions I have is, did you feel like a pressure when you started having colleagues kind of come to you about some of those personal matters? Or did you feel it just kind of like fit in? You felt maybe
I felt
honored to be a
I
part
felt
of?
honored. I felt
Oh,
honored, to be
yeah.
honest with you, and
Yeah.
it really made me feel um, proud to be who I am, and that it
Mhm,
really also made me realize that there is, in this business community, and in this high pressured environment, that
mhm.
there is a place, for me,
Yeah.
for
Sure.
and it was really an awesome, because it was almost a twofold, whereas yes, it was really honored, but it also made me feel valued,
Mm,
that I had information that and feelings that I could help, the
mhm.
greater good.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure that is something that, students who watch this, that are a part of the LGBTQ plus community, I'm really sure that that is an important thing to see and kind of hear
Yeah.
from just like an outside voice that they don't know, in terms of, this is potentially, something that they could have and be a part of, and find allies and find those that have been through, not the same, but similar experiences that can kind of help guide and give advice, especially those that are veterans,
Right.
whatever business or organization or company that they're going to join. Because mentorship is just incredibly valuable. So
Coming out is and being your authentic self is extremely brave.
yeah, yeah.
And but it's a must in order for you to be valued and for you to add what
Mhm,
makes you special and get you that seat at the table. You know, be your whole self because you're
mhm,
not if you're not adding value. You
sure.
know, so share your story,
Yeah,
share who you are because you
yeah,
don't know the impact that you can have on someone else
yeah.
by
That's
telling
a
your story.
that's a wonderful message. I think that's a quote for definitely the video, because it's you talked about like kind of it's like coming out a second time or
Yeah.
an additional time because it's like you have your colleagues there and they don't we have our professional self and we really can choose what we want to bring from our personal life into it and we can choose what to share with our colleagues, right? And so I just can't imagine just the pressure
Right.
of dealing with that and really being like, I want to bring my full self to work, but am I going to be accepted or is there going to be some form of backlash? And
Right.
so really
And and,
just
uh, and a lot of people times in the auditing community and in this profession, you get put
Mhm.
on different teams. So
Yes.
there's
Mhm.
opportunities that you may have to come out over and over again as
Mm.
well,
Yeah.
which is also a really hard thing. So, to make it a part of who you are rather than what you are,
Mm.
because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I it's me,
Yeah.
and I can't
Mhm.
change that. So,
Mhm.
and it doesn't affect my work. It's just who I am. But it
Mhm.
also allows me to bring a different perspective. And that's why I've been hired into this to bring that perspective, to bring
Mm.
that thought leadership, to bring
Sure.
that community to the table.
Great. Thank you, Al, for that. That is I think that's just a really important piece and I'm happy that you shared what you did in terms
No.
of this theme of bring your full self to work. Um, so you kind of listed some resources already that, you know, maybe there are some graduates now from Lehigh, undergraduates that are beginning the onboarding process. Maybe they've uh, confirmed an offer, or maybe they're, confirmed an internship, for the summer or
Mhm.
what have you. Um, what resources are available for new employees, for folks to really access?
So when you join the firm, you
Mhm,
will you'll or when you go through the orientation process, your recruiter and your onboarding will guide you to our BRG list where you can sign up for any one of our BRGs. Which I'll be honest with you, I always say sign up for all and any that you have interest in because to be honest with you, all it means is that you're going to get a couple more emails which because there's no mandatory assignment when you check the box,
Sure.
but when you do, it'll connect you to all of those BRGs, and you'll have opportunities to meet people, to get invited to training sessions, to get invited to opportunities, to meetings, to mentoring circles, and things like
Mm,
that.
wow.
Yeah, and we our Pride Month, our June it tends to be where a lot of focus. We do it in June. I know you mentioned earlier that you do it in February, but our
Mhm,
June is tends to be very busy with a lot of trainings and a lot of
sure.
opportunities.
I imagine.
We work
Mhm,
very heavily with PFlag,
mhm,
and PFlag some amazing trainings,
mhm,
and they do a lot of great work as an LGBTQ plus organization. And that's also when our global Pride conference tends to be.
mhm.
So there are all these wonderful things, and
Wow.
we have a whole series of events that we try to do throughout the year locally, whether it be working with the Attic Youth Center, which is a local
Mhm,
LGBTQ youth center, or the Mazzoni Center, or things like that.
mhm,
We cook meals and we go out into the community. We also, have some happy hours and things like that, especially when we know recruits and things are coming in, just so that we
Yeah.
can share our stories and so they see what we do. And one of the other really cool programs that we have here is Safe Space, and
Okay.
we did this a couple of years ago where it was during National Coming Out Day, and we created these flags, and we had them just sitting in the office, and on the back it
Okay.
said, um, you this is a safe space, and
Okay.
when you come into our office, you'll see a lot of them still hanging. I mean, this was years ago, and it's on partner's office, it's on MD's office, it's on Cube offices, and it means that there's an ally or a partner
Hmm.
that sit here and that you're welcome. And,
Yeah.
don't be afraid.
As we draw this interview to, its conclusion, what is any advice that you have for a soon to be graduate?
Oh, be brave. Look for what you will. Don't hesitate to ask the hard questions,
Mm,
because uh, uh, your career is a piece of you, and you need to authentically be you every day. And if you don't feel like it's the right, trust your gut. Um,
mhm,
make sure you feel safe, make sure you feel wanted, and
mm,
make sure, as you're looking, look for those signs and ask those questions, you know,
mhm,
because you spend a lot of time working, and
mhm.
you need to
Yeah,
make sure you have that happiness in what you do.
yeah. For those that don't know, working is a third of your life in estimation. It's a third
Yeah.
working, a third sleeping, and a third for everything else.
I mean,
Um, Go ahead.
like KPMG is such a great match for me. I've been here for over 20 years, like
Yep.
so
Mhm,
obviously, it's a great match for me. And make sure you find your match,
mhm,
and if you need something, use your voice,
mhm,
and because the everybody wants to do better.
mm,
Everybody wants to do better. And I think so and you can only use your voice to make that happen.
sure. Well, Al, this has been an amazing interview. Thank you for your time, for your vulnerability, and for your insight. Um, I'm I greatly appreciate it. I know the students watching this will greatly appreciate it as well. And for the students that are watching this, I will put all the resources to KPMG, social media, where you can go follow. Of course, access to Handshake, their Handshake page, where you can look into any active postings they have for internships available right now. But yes, again, thank you, Al, for
Hey,
everything.
thank you. It's a pleasure.